Okay. So, hi everyone. My name is Ashley Pickett, and I am Flower Library's library manager. I do all of our nonfiction purchasing for adults, and I do lots of educational programming as well. And one of the things that I really kind of spearhead here is our database education. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with some ancestry tips and tricks, and we'll see if we can get everybody familiar and on the same page. Before I dive in, though, I do want to let you know I am completely comfortable with questions in the middle of the presentation. Feel free to shout them out at me. I tend to miss them if you don't say them out loud. So please do definitely give me a shout if there's anything that's unclear or anything you're unsure about. So let me flip over to the correct screen. Okay. Can you see my screen? Does that look okay? You should be seeing the Ancestry website right on your screen. Okay. I don't hear any complaints, so I'm going to guess we're okay.
Yep, we see it.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. So this is our homepage for Ancestry.com. For our particular library here at Flower, we allow Wi-Fi access within our building. Not every library does. Your subscription probably may be a little bit different. So for us, any device that is connected to our Wi-Fi can access without a password. All they have to do is enter the ancestrylibrary.com. They don't need anything after the slash. It will populate and it will load with the username and password already put in because it verifies our IP address. And then they'll know they're in the right spot when they see Roswell up here in the right-hand corner. Your library may not do that. It really does depend on your subscription, and you can chat with the NCLS IT on that one if you're unsure. Your public computers should also have an icon on the desktop that when clicked on, it will take patrons right to the correct page for Ancestry through the correct subscription. It should be all set up. And if it's not, definitely chat with IT about that as well, and they can get that figured out for you. But since I'm connected to the Wi-Fi, I could go ahead and already had it programmed in for ancestrylibrary.com, and it brings me right to the homepage. One thing to remember about Ancestry, it's read only in that you can't create, you can't edit with our particular subscription. You can only view everything. So that means any of the public family trees, you can absolutely see them, but you can't create your own tree. You have to take the information that you find on Ancestry and kind of store it someplace else. At least you can't store it within our subscription, I guess, as a user, just the way I want to phrase that. So I suggest to our patrons to kind of either keep a folder, keep a binder, keep something with all of the information that they compile, keep it separate. If they want to create a family tree with an Ancestry, they do have to have their own personal subscription to do that. So like I said, we can view them using our library accounts. We just can't create them to save the information. But there's a whole bunch of different ways to go about searching here. My personal favorite is to literally start with the search button at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and get started there. Now, there are a lot of different kinds of records you can find. You can find census records, and they go from 1790 to 1950 now. For a while there, it was 1940. But because of the privacy laws, they recently, well, I guess it wasn't all that recent now that I think about it, but the newest released version of the census was 1950. So I'm starting to see folks from my generation find more information about their grandparents and loved ones, which is a lot of fun to see. But you can certainly find those census records, anything about vital statistics. And when I say that, I mean birth, death, and marriage records. You can find some military records, but Ancestry also is a part of the Fold 3 family. So those military records can sometimes be hit or miss between the two databases, and Fold 3 is not one we take part in anymore, but I have found draft registration cards here on Ancestry, and those are some of my favorites because they have a lot of information in them. You'll find immigration records and some passenger lists here in Ancestry. You'll find city directories, and some of my personal favorites are the photographs you can stumble upon here in Ancestry as well. So there's a wealth of information. However, all of these data points that you find, they're not necessarily connected. That part really relies on the humans doing the searching to make those connections between the data and between the people you discover on Ancestry. So that's on us to do. They'll just provide the information. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with my first search. When I hover or click on the word search, it brings up this particular menu here. I'm going to click on all collections. Okay. So this is initially what I see. I'm going to use my grandfather as my first search for us. Carl is his first name, and I'm going to put his full middle name since I know it. And then I'm going to put his last name as well. I would suggest to users not to click these exact buttons. If you do, it does bring up other options, but it really can limit your results. So I would avoid using that to start. Go ahead and turn that back off. There it goes. Okay. If you don't know middle name, it's perfectly okay. You can certainly leave that off. It just kind of helps narrow down your results to the particular person you're looking for. You can also include a middle initial. A lot of times, maybe only that initial was reported in all of these records that Ancestry has. So you never know really what you're going to stumble upon. And I do know where he lived. And lots of Copenhagen's. There we are. So you'll see as you start typing a location, as long as you're spelling it correctly, Ancestry will populate a list for you. So we've got, in our case, village, county, state, and then country. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the right one. Let's see, I'm racking my brain. I believe he was 1935. And this is where this exact button comes into play. I'm not going to click that because Ancestry is going to give me a rough idea. And they're going to, with all of the records and results it displays, they're going to pick ones that are kind of close, pretty close. If I put a year in there, if it's off by a year or two, they won't care. Now, there is an option here for more information. And because I know some of this, I'm going to put the pieces in that I do know. I'm going to add a spouse. I know her first name and I know her middle name. I also know her maiden name. I'm going to add that here. Okay, I'm going to leave some of this other stuff that you see out, but you do have the option, if you happen to know this information about the person you're searching for, to add bits and pieces in. Now, the more you add, the more you have room for error. So it's kind of a little bit of a guessing game. You kind of got to be careful of what you're adding. If you don't see the results that you're hoping for, you have to go back and look at what you searched for to begin with and start deleting pieces. So just have to be careful. So in all, I have first name, middle name, place he may have lived, potential birth year. I think I'm off by a year. And then his spouse as well. So I'm going to go ahead and hit search, see what comes up. All right. Oops. When you mouse over things, Ancestry likes to try to be helpful. So you'll see it's putting results up toward the top of the list that it thinks are the closest or the best match. So I'm going to go ahead and pick one here. Oh, I might have been right. We're going to go ahead and pick a birth index. So this is a state-held or a state-created record. These are things that we actually own here at Flower Library as well. For certain years, we were a state repository for these once upon a time. So you'll see that there's some auto-generated information that Ancestry pulled from the actual image here in the middle. And it's kind of that typed version that we can easily read, but the actual record is going to be, if they have it, accessible is going to be scanned here. So when you click on that, you get a version of it. Let's see, can I scroll in easily? I can. And of course, it's going to depend on the way it was scanned in, how clear and readable it is. This one, of course, I picked a bad one, not so much, but I'm going to guess he's maybe up in here somewhere. But this would give me the information here. So when you're clicked on an image like this, if it's something you wanted to save, you have the option to save to your computer if you're on a personal device, or saving to a USB. But there's an option called Send Image Home, and I can tell you more about that back on this previous page. Yes. So you've got that option here too as well. So as you're doing your searching, you're going to find that all of a sudden you've got a lot of pieces of paper to sift through and kind of organize. Maybe you don't want to print every little thing, or maybe you want to take the time to sort through it when you're home because you're at a public library. Whatever the case may be, you have the option to not save to the device, to not print in that moment, and instead you can send the document to an email address. So when you confirm and hit send email, there we go. So what this is going to do is it's going to send both versions of this information, so both this typed version in the middle and the image, off as a link to your email address that you specified. I tested it out again today just to make sure that it was still working as expected. And I was not connected to our Wi-Fi, so I was not signed into Ancestry from my email on my cell phone, as a lot of our users would use at home. It does allow you to download this image. It allows you to download a printable version of this information as well. And of course, they're going to try to upsell you and get you to subscribe to Ancestry for a personal account as well. That kind of comes with the territory. But you will get this information. You don't have to be within the building connected to our Wi-Fi, our account, and you can still get this information in your email. So for folks who, for whatever reason, don't want to print or save to their device, they still have an option to take this information away with them, which is fantastic. This particular record doesn't have a link on the bottom. There's something else I wanted to show you before I moved along here. Let's see. I'm going to pick one that has potentially more information here. So sometimes you'll see this as well. You'll see lots of information in the middle, but you won't see a copy of the actual record here. For whatever reason, Ancestry didn't scan it in. That happens. But one of my favorite things about Ancestry is they will try to suggest records based on the initial search terms you provided. So you can kind of jump around between records very easily if you use what's off on the right-hand side here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the 1940 census. Looks like Grandpa might not have been. must have been quite a small child at that point. Yeah. Yep. And knowing what I know about my family, this is definitely him. I recognize some other relatives, but they make it very easy to kind of jump between people and go down research rabbit holes, if you will. There's all sorts of information that you can find here. So if I were to click on any one of these names, it's going to stay within the census because I was still within that census information, right? So I was within all of the census information here in the middle, but all of a sudden the entries up here, they relate to the girl that I clicked on instead, not my grandfather. And then when I get over here, the suggested records switch over to the girl as well. So it's something to be aware of and where you're clicking. I'm going to go back a screen. So now everything relates to my grandfather, Carl, again. And then I'm going to very quickly click on the image of the record here. Yes. So what it will do too is this is one of the really nice scans here. It highlights where you need to be looking so that it's much easier to zoom in and not get lost within all of the handwriting, the gorgeous script we have here. And this one doesn't have scroll bars on the side. You actually kind of click and hold and move around that way. And you can tell too, all of your categories, your columns on the top are labeled for you. Sometimes they're a little tricky to read depending on your font settings. My fonts are expanded, so things tend to get cut off. But still, they are labeled there for you to make an attempt to make things easier to read. This is one of the really nice recent censuses here. Okay, so you've got all that information to sift through, which is wonderful. I'm going to go back a screen. Sometimes you'll have some real luck and find photographs. You can typically, you'll find them through the public family trees. So individuals across the country, long lost family members or even friends sometimes have uploaded photographs of family members of yours that you just happen to stumble upon. But in these ones are yearbooks that have been uploaded. And if I remember right, I think it was this one. Yep. I've seen this one before. Yeah, this is the one I was thinking of. This guy right here, my grandpa. Sometimes you can stumble upon photographs of people that you know in your heart, yes, that's my grandpa, looks just like him. But you've never seen them before. So it's a lot of fun to kind of dig through and see what you can find. And in this case, it's a yearbook, so all the people are labeled, which is great. Okay. And again, on this one, you can click through all of the records over here until your heart's content. Let me get back to our, oh gosh, trying to get back to there it is, our original results page. So like any other database that we have, you have some filters and things you can change over here on the left-hand side. If you wanted to narrow down your results list instead of having this giant list over here to go through, you can certainly use this information over here. If you only wanted to view the census records, you could absolutely click on that. Same for the vital statistics, the military stuff. It's all listed here for you. I will caution you, the newspaper clippings that it tells you can find, 9 times out of 10, you cannot click on those. It wants you to subscribe to a separate database that we don't have access to as of yet. But keep that in mind. Oh, before we move off of this page, I do want to show you the family trees. So right now it's only going to show me family tree results. So let me go back up here. Yeah. So knowing what I know again about my family, I recognize all of this information. I know that this is correct. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on this one to give you an idea of what you might be dealing with the family tree. So this is the initial page that you would see. So what it tries to do is it creates kind of an auto-generated timeline over here, if you will. And then it will give you any of the sources that are linked to this particular family tree, to this individual on the family tree. And when the person is creating the tree, they have the option to go ahead and input as many different sources of information as they choose. And it's just a way to organize information and make things easier to find. So that's why you see those listed there as well. And then it'll go ahead and break out parents and spouse and children. All of that information is over here. But because these individuals are still living, my parents, my dad would fall under these 4 here. These are marked private just for privacy's sake. So if I go ahead and click on gallery, this is where you would see, yep, that's Grandpa's gravestone. This is where you would see any of the photographs that the individual had uploaded, excuse me, for you. And Life Story is a narrative created by Ancestry. So it's all broken out for you if you'd like to see it that way instead. Now for the actual tree, let's go find him. There it is. We're going to view tree. Here we go. Oh, let's see. So you can see that there's quite a few members. I'm going to, because I'm on a laptop screen, it gets a little tough, but I'm going to try and zoom out so you can get a sense of just how massive these things can sometimes get for us. So yeah, for whatever reason, it's stretching really wide across the screen there. But, oh gosh, let me zoom back in. There's a whole bunch of information listed. And then if you wanted to, you could go ahead and try to click in and out of these people and just see who's who. And because the creator of this tree left it public, we all get to see it. You do have the option to keep it private just as a way to organize the information for yourself as the creator. Okay. I am going to go, oops, one too many times there. Back to the home page real quick. Okay. Any questions before I continue on? Okay. So like I said, there's a whole bunch of different ways to go about searching within Ancestry. That was just a couple of them. If you are looking for a specific kind of record, you can click on some of these links instead. So if you're only looking for census records, I'm going to click Search Now. And it's going to narrow us down just to our federal census collection, okay? So there's no New York census listed here. When you do a search in this way, you're not going to find anything but those 10-year federal census records. And again, you can enter as much or as little information as you want or as you know, keeping in mind what potentially may limit your results. Now, I always suggest to our new researchers to start with a male relative or their grandfather, or depending on age, maybe their father, simply because male names don't change. There isn't as much room for getting a name, quote unquote, wrong in a search. It makes things a lot easier when you're learning how to research. As women, we tend to get lost in translation sometimes throughout history. So to make things easier, definitely start with a male family member. If I go back home, here we go. And then same things will apply if you clicked on any one of these topics. It only limits you, you'll only see those particular results instead of that full massive list, which might be easier depending on what you're looking for. And then scrolling down here a little bit, you've also got other things that you can take a dive into if you would like. One of the things you will see listed are the city directories. Now we have some for Watertown that have been uploaded to Ancestry. And I did try to make things a little bit easier for everybody to see. We have a link on our website. So if this page doesn't show something that's related to Flower Library's website right now, please let me know. I was hoping that it would cooperate with me. So we have two different spots that we uploaded city directories. This particular one, you do have to be within the library, signed onto our Wi-Fi, using our Ancestry subscription to view it. So you would definitely need our internet connection, and you can use your own device or a library device, but as long as you're connected to our Wi-Fi, you're good to go. So from our website, you would click this particular link, and it would jump you to the Ancestry library, and our sign-in would already be inputted. but now you would be only searching for results through the city directory. So it's one of those niche collections that you can find through Ancestry, but you'll notice the collection isn't titled with Watertown. It's one of those weird, quirky things that if you didn't know it was here, you wouldn't have an easy time finding it, unfortunately. So you could certainly enter the name of somebody here in the middle that you were looking for, or if you chose to browse, you can go this way. And these are all things that have been uploaded to Ancestry. Where are we? There we are. I'm just going to randomly pick one here, and you can click on it. And our city directory is listed here as well. It's quite a bit of browsing if you wanted to go page by page, but it is all there as well for you to use. So it's one of those collections that's within Ancestry that you don't always realize is there. Okay, so back to the Ancestry homepage. Any questions at all? Anything I didn't cover? There's a lot here. Ancestry is one of those databases that you really just need to dive in and click around, play around, and see what you can find. Ancestry is also constantly adding more records. So you could search today and not find what you're looking for, have kind of a little bit of a frustrating experience. Search again in a month for the same exact name with the same exact parameters and find exactly what you need. So it really depends on timing and you know what you're looking for. Across the top, if we can't answer your questions or if we're not available for whatever reason, there are message boards, there's learning centers for more resources, and there, oh, I forgot one. There's a button for charts and forms. So if you're somebody who likes to have your research laid out in front of you in an easy to see way, there are some ancestral charts here. We're always telling our users to record the information in some way, whether that's printing it out. So it has a link and it has a date on it, whether that's writing it down by hand, even on scrap paper. Just have that information written down because you never know when a link is going to suddenly disappear or not work, or you're going to have a problem with it. So there's lots of ways to keep track, and Ancestry provides them for us. So anything else I can help with? All right. So if I can't answer any questions or if I might have thrown too much at you at once, I apologize. If anything does occur to you, definitely let us know. We're more than happy to help. We have a genealogy department here as well. So if there's ever a time where you've got a patron who's got some questions, you can absolutely come along to us and we'll do our best to give it a shot and see if we can help you out.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see here. Can I get back to the right screen? I'm not sure. There we go. All right. No problem, everyone. If there's no questions, I will talk to everybody soon. Bye. Take care.